Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. Hope you're all doing very, very well. I was thinking, the lighting's quite moody in here today because it's cloudy and it's been raining on and off, but still hot. And I thought, oh, I better put a light on. I thought, no, I'm just going to sit here in the calm and cool and enjoy it. Welcome to today's video from myself. Today is a bookish Q&A. So yesterday on Instagram, I asked you guys for some bookish questions. You delivered. I've got 18 here. Some of them were along the same lines. And if I didn't answer your question specifically, do write it in the comments down below and I will endeavour to get back to you. But yeah, 18 questions. You guys are good at asking questions. And I quite like doing these sort of bookish Q&As or Q&As in general, because although I do sort of like the chatty videos and the tag videos and stuff like that, sometimes there might just be something that you just want to know or you didn't know that you wanted to know, and here you are watching it now. So here we crack on with 18 bookish questions from you guys. Just realised I look like I'm literally 1,000 miles away. Come closer. Better. Right, the first question was a good question, a very apt question. How many books do you think you currently own? So what I did, I didn't count them, but I did a sort of average. So I counted like one of these squares, well, a few of these squares, and the average that these squares have in are 20 books. So some have got more, some have got less, but it's an average of 20. There's 16 squares, so that makes 320 books. And then up top, go on up top, there we go, look, that's my favourites and my cloth bound classics. There's about 80 books up there as well, so that makes 400. And then I had a little look around in the book trolley next to my bed, on my bedside table. There's about 40 books elsewhere. I haven't included cookbooks in here, and I reckon, so actually maybe I should. So that's 440, and then I think I've got about 100 cookbooks. Which is an insane amount of cookbooks to own. So yeah, probably roughly 540. Now obviously some of those books I'm never going to read. Cookbooks, she ain't reading those from cover to cover. Some of these books I've had on my shelf since I started doing booktube. Some of them are very new. Some of them will pass me by without even having a page turned. Oh, sad, isn't it? But yeah, 540 I reckon is roughly. How many books have you got in your house? Interested to hear. And by the way, number is low by some booktubers standards. So I remember going on a meetup before and asking that question, and some people were like in the thousands. Number 2 is, do you enjoy Sally Rooney's novels? And this was based on the fact someone put Paul Mescal prompt. So Paul Mescal, who is from the TV adaptation of Normal People, he played Connell in it. He's lovely. Him and Andrew Scott, another lovely one, are going to be in a new film together, and I put up a post on my Instagram last night with the two of them in it. God, they're so sexy, the pair of them. And someone off the back of that has asked me, do I enjoy Sally Rooney's novels? So I will say, I loved Normal People, really loved it. I've read the book, had a proof copy of the book. I remember reading it vividly. I remember reading it, oh, my mum and dad have just turned up. To be continued. Well, let's continue with this, and then I'll go and get them. So yeah, I remember reading Normal People when I was on holiday, the proof, and then I remember it being a really big deal, and I've listened to the audiobook of it a few times. I really love it, and I thought the TV adaptation was very good. I've also read Conversations with Friends, but I literally cannot remember anything about it, apart from it's about a group of 4 people maybe. That was a TV series, haven't watched it. And then I haven't read the other 2. One of which I can't even remember the name of, but the other one's called Beautiful World, Where Are You? So yeah, I guess it's got a sort of 25% success rate with me, because I loved Normal People, can't remember a thing about Conversations with Friends, and I haven't read the other 2. Better go and let my mum and dad in. To be continued with what's your favourite book of all time to reread. That's what you've got coming up. That's what I've got coming up. Yeah. Well, after all that talk of me being like, oh, the light, it's so nice in it, by the time my dad left, it's dark. So I've had to put the light on. We're doing some decorating, quite a big decorating job in the house over the next couple of weeks. 3 rooms, including this room, which is a huge take on. And my dad just popped round just to write up a shopping list with me of what we need. And we're going to go to Wickes tomorrow and buy the stuff. The wallpaper's been ordered. And I'm going to vlog the lot. So yeah, that'll be coming up. So I've never done any decorating before. That's not true. I've painted the hallway and the bathrooms with the help of my dad. But yeah, that's what's coming up. But anyway, back to the questions. I left you on a cliffhanger, didn't I? What's your favourite book of all time to reread? So I've picked Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, I just think is such an atmospheric sort of like transports you to that story. And every time I read it for the first time, and then since then I've listened to it, and every time I listen to it I'm like, oh my god, there's a little bit more that I'd forgotten about, or like rediscovering it for the first time, or knowing something going into a part and thinking, oh yeah, now I've got a bit of hindsight on that, I can see why that would happen. I think it's a really great book for rereading, because once you've, I'm gonna put my little pad on there, because once you've read and experienced it, there's so much more to sort of like, when you know sort of like the plot by the end of it, when you go back to it, you're like, oh, I've got a bit of forethought here. So very much enjoy that. The other one I really like is His Dark Materials. I'll be honest, a lot of my rereading is done via audiobook. So often I read a book and then if I love it, I reread it via audio. And the audiobooks of His Dark Materials are done by a cast, and the sort of like descriptive stuff is read by Philip Pullman himself. They are beautiful to listen to, and I tend to listen to them sort of once every year. It hasn't happened this year actually, but yeah, they're amazing books to listen to and to reread, and yeah, just sort of familiarise myself with them all over again. Lovely. Number 4 is, have you ever been in a reading slump? What did you do to get out of it? Yeah, I've been in quite a few reading slumps over the years. Touch wood, book, not many for a while, and hopefully that doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but the great reading slump I remember was the summer we moved into this house actually. So we got out of our old place and we had 3 weeks before we could move into our new place. So we spent a week at my mum's, a week at David's mum's, and a week at my sister's, and during that time I think we were doing quite a lot of moving around. So I read 2 books the whole month. One of them was The Paying Guests by Sarah Waters, which is a big book, but the other one was like a tiny little, it was like an Eric Tan book. It was a tiny little book, but yeah, I'd only read 1 book in the whole of the month, which is unheard of basically, and I think that was to do with the fact that everything was packed up. We were moving between everywhere. It was really hot that summer, and that really interferes with my reading because I can't concentrate or anything. And I was also playing Cooking Fever on my phone. I was obsessed with this game on my phone called Cooking Fever, and I just remember spending all of my time doing that. So that was my reading slump, and in order to get out of it, I guess the weather improved in terms of improving for me, so it meant it got a bit cooler, so I enjoyed reading a bit more. But I think when I get myself out of these reading slumps, or sometimes I'll say like a creative slump almost, like when I'm making videos and stuff and I think, oh god, nothing feels right, and blah blah blah, I'm just sort of kind to myself and just sort of ride it out, because I know like I will read again and I will feel creative again. So I just sort of like don't put any pressure on myself, just sort of wait for it to pick back up, and often it does without me actually having to make any effort. But something I have done when I've been in a bit of a reading slump is reread something that I've loved. So His Dark Materials would be a great example of this. Yeah, that's what I do. Right, number 5 is 3 classics I haven't read but I want to. So the first one I've picked is Middlemarch by George Eliot. I own it, it's huge. I got it for Christmas one year. I've got the beautiful, I should have brought it down actually because I brought other huge books down. The Penguin Cloth Bound Classic edition of it, and I would love to read it, I really would. And then also Emma by Jane Austen, because I've never read Emma by Jane Austen and I would like to. I really love the new adaptation. It's not that new anymore, is it? I think it was 2020, with Anya Taylor-Joy in it. It's amazing, I love it. I really love it, and also love Clueless as well. So I'd like to read Emma as well. And then I've got these, so I've read Anne of Green Gables already, not this edition actually, but David's sister, one year for my birthday, bought me this collection of Anne of Green Gables books, which is so lovely. I've read Anne of Green Gables, like I said, not this edition. I've read the vintage women's, the little short one, which is gorgeous. But there's also, and I don't even know what order these go in, so I've got Anne of Avonlea, Anne of the Island, maybe this is the order, Anne of Windy Poplars. Windy Poplars is so much like Windy Pops, isn't it? Anne's House of Dreams, and Anne of Ingleside. So, I mean, maybe that is the order they go in. But these are such adorable... Yeah, it doesn't say what order they go in. Such gorgeous editions, and I would love to... So, I know that counts. That doesn't count as 3 books. That counts as... Because I've already read that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I might be due a reread of Anne of Green Gables this year. And the last few times I've reread it, I've listened to it on Audible, and it's been Rachel McAdams. So maybe I'll launch this with... listening to the audiobook of Anne of Green Gables and then going into whatever order these then go on. So that's that. Next up, the book you've recommended the most. So I mean, I've recommended a lot of, quite often, sometimes when I'm on Instagram, I'll do like a tell me a book that you've read because of me, and like so many books come up and it's so lovely to hear. But I think the one that I hear most about is the green roasting tin. So the green roasting tin is, there's another question that this book will be the answer. It is the best cookbook I've ever had. It's literally all bangers. It is the easiest cookbook I've owned because it's basically like a little bit of chopping at the beginning, maybe like 20 minutes chopping max, stick it all in a roasting tin and stick it in the oven. It's half vegan, half vegetarian, and then within those sections it's split into quick, medium and long. So some things like take over an hour to cook, some things don't take that long at all, and it's brilliant. It's all like, it really made me reassess my views about what I was prepared to consider a dinner. Like when I became, this really helped. I was already vegetarian when I got this book, but this really helped me sort of embrace my vegetarianism and be like, this is a main meal, because it's got that, like, I was really ingrained in my head that like a main meal was like meat and then veg as a side, but this sort of like celebrates veg as a whole. And yeah, it's just amazing. Like, and I've made so many of these things so many times. One of my favourite ever things to do is when I've got people coming, and actually I'm going to my friend Emma's for dinner tonight. She also loves this book because I forced it on her, and we're having this for dinner, the chili, which is probably the thing that I've made the most out of here. But yeah, I love having people over and making like 2 or 3 bits out of here and then just having them on the table and people just helping themselves, or batch cooking like this chili, for example, or there's some curries in here, and then just having that for the rest of the week. It's an amazing cookbook, and yeah, it's probably the thing that people say to me most that they've read because of me or got because of me. Do I have any favourite bookmarks? When I got this question, I actually got 3 questions about my favourite bookmarks, and I was like, who on earth has favourite bookmarks? Well, it turns out me, because I was looking at what my bookmarks that I like to use are, and I tend to use the same 4. So the first one is this one, which is tea stained. So this I got from Paper Gang. They do, oh, there's loads of people running because it's really raining outside. Paper Gang, it's a stationery subscription box, which I've actually paused for the time being because saving money. I got this, which is lovely. It's just got this chap sat reading at the top of some stairs. Here's the tea, and on the back it says, "There's no frigate like a book to take us lands away," and that's a quote from Emily Dickinson. But yeah, I just always reach for this one, apparently. Then I've got this one, which was free with Joni Clothing. So whenever I've got something from Joni Clothing, they kindly send bookmarks, and they often have little quotes or something on, but this one has got this gorgeous print on, which is from the Dorno Porter with Joni range, and this is one of the prints of the dresses that she makes. It is hammering it down out there. These are really good for like big paperbacks. I like, when I'm reading, I like my bookmark to be completely enveloped by the book. I don't want any ends poking out the top, and these I would only read with a big hardback, sorry. Then Jen bought me this gorgeous collection of bookmarks for Christmas with lots of different bright colours with different animals on. There's a flamingo, there's a parrot, there's a leopard, this is the zebra one, and they're lovely, and I love this little tassel on the front. And then I've got this from the Bookmark Boys, which has got Andrew Scott playing the hot priest from can I get you to look at it? Don't look at my face, look at this. From Fleabag. Can you see him? Don't look at my face, look at the Fleabag, look at the priest. There he is. Oh, you're never going to see it, but it says Neil. And she's got a whole range, but yeah, I like this one. But this one does poke out the top, and as you can see, his little face has been folded over, which isn't what I like. But yeah, turns out I do have favourite bookmarks. Most used cookbooks. So yeah, most used cookbook is green roasted tin. I folded over the pages of everything I've made, and there is very little that I haven't made in here. Let's have a look. Find something else. So a lot of the pages, oh, here we go. Weirdly I haven't made this one because it's a mushroom one and I love mushrooms. Lime and coriander mushrooms with pak choi and asparagus. Next thing I haven't made, these are all, I think I have made that. Roasted tomato, red pepper and artichoke panzanella with tarragon and lemon. That's just a picture of some delicious food. So there's, oh, there we go. So all the ones I'm turning to are ones that I actually are just big pictures of stuff. So I have made a lot of the stuff in here. Oh, whole roasted cauliflower with ras el hanout, pearl barley and pomegranate. So there's only a few in here that I haven't made, and there's a lot in here that I have. And also you can tell that I've made it a lot because there's just sort of, I've scribbled in it and written the dates that I've made stuff, and it's got sort of like marks on it from where I've cooked from it and everything. But then I've also got this, which is Jamie's Great Britain. So before I did BookTube, imagine a world before I did BookTube. I always like to set myself little projects, and one of the things I did set myself one year was to cook my whole way through Jamie's Great Britain. I don't think it was when this book had just come out, so I don't think it was I mean, I can tell you when it wasn't before, because I can tell you when this book was published. First published in 2011. It was when me and David just moved in with each other. We've been together 10 years, so yeah, like, maybe like 2012 or 2013 maybe. And I cooked my whole way through this book. Well, I didn't cook my whole way, I cooked something like 94% of it. Now, I was eating meat then, so a lot of this is meat. But this was such a joy to do, and I used to take photos, really bad photos of the food that I'd taken, because food photography is hard, and put them on and talk about a little bit about it. And yeah, I had such a lovely time doing it. And when I look through this book, there's so many sort of memories involved in this book, because a lot of the cooking involved other people and having other people around for dinner and stuff like that. So for example, Earl Grey tea loaf, I've opened it here. Like this, I remember baking for my dad's birthday, because he loves cakes with sultanas in. And then what have we got here? Epic roast chicken salad with golden croutons, green beans and sweet tomatoes. I remember making that on Valentine's Day when we had our friends around before a wedding we were going to. Big beefy tomato salad. I remember making that because my dad was cross because there was dressing on it, and he loves it. Yeah, there's so many memories in here. Humble pea and ham soup. I remember making that because we had our friend Dom round to do that. Flapjack crumble. There's just so much. Chocolate pudding bomb, which I made for Christmas. Yeah, so there's many memories in here. So yeah, this is my most, this looks my most used, but my most used is the green roasting tin. I would love to do a project like this again, but I think it's because this was the first time I ever did this, and I didn't do BookTube or anything else like that. I had lots of like time to spend on doing that, but yeah, a great thing to do, cooking my way through a cookbook. Tell us how your book club works. So I run 2 book clubs. The first one is a book club that I run on Facebook with some friends, which is very nice. That started off as a very big book club. It had like 40 people in it. We all used to chat on Facebook Messenger and Joe about a book. But as the years went by, people got less and less time, and now it's just 5 of us, which is nice because it means we can have a good old chat about things, and it's very relaxed. And if somebody hasn't read the book, we're quite happy to push it back by a week or by a weekend. And yeah, it's very relaxed. And what's happened is, where that used to be something I'd run, I sort of said to other people, to the people who were in it, I'm like, I'd love to continue with this, but I just don't have the time to pick a book every month and make up questions when I'm running other book clubs as well. So the 5 of us now take it in turns to pick a book and do the questions, and it means that I get to like sort of join in with a book club as well that I haven't made the questions up for, which is really joyful. We're on a summer break from that at the moment, but when we go back in September, we are reading How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. So yeah, we take it in turns to do that, so that's very nice. And then I've got a Patreon book club, which started off as a Christmas book club. It's one of my favourite things that I do that's come out of doing this channel. I have such a lovely time doing it. It's the last Sunday of every month, and we meet on a YouTube live show. So I'm chatting a bit like this, and we pick a book, we pick a genre for the month. I give you guys two choices, and then you guys vote on the book you want to read, and then yeah, we talk about it for about an hour and 15 minutes at the end of every month, and it's just joyful. And we really read things that some of us have never read before, some of us would never have considered reading. 3 of the books that we've read this year have been my favourite books of the year so far, so like it's been really good. And just knowing that I've got this sort of like bookish hour at the end of the month where I'm going to talk to people about books is just a joy and lovely, and I love doing it. This month we're reading Crooked House by Agatha Christie because it's Augusta Christie. I'm really looking forward to discussing it. It's actually happening this Sunday. If you would like to join, it's $5 a month. I always have all the information linked down below, but yeah, it would be lovely to have you. And yeah, next month's genre is Boys in Love on telly, and we're reading Heartstopper, which is very fun and exciting to read because I love Heartstopper and I'm very excited. But yeah, we've got Christmas coming up, obviously. Some people just join for Christmas, which is lovely because we have like a little bit of a Christmas party and stuff. So yeah, and if you're a patron of mine as well, I run the old Cozy Reading Nights throughout the year, but I run 2 Cozy Reading Nights just for patrons. So we've got some Cozy Reading Night, which is coming up on Monday. So if you join now, you'll be able to join in on that. So there we go. Those are my book clubs. Do you feel the pressure of trying to read all the books on your own? Do you feel the pressure of trying to read all the books you own or get through your TBR? I just can't. I don't feel pressure. I don't often feel pressurised in anything really. But yeah, I mean, when would I get the chance to read, like when would I get the time to read 440 books? Like I just read the books that I want to read when I want to read them, and that's the joy of having a hobby that's sort of extended into a bit of a lifestyle for me, because it means I get to share it with all you guys. So yeah, I don't feel pressure about it. The only time I guess, do I feel pressure? Is that pressure? But when, so like for example, this month I've just read books by Agatha Christie or about Agatha Christie for Augusta Christie. And sometimes I feel a bit of like, oh, I've got to find out some books that will fit that month. And sometimes I think, oh, I wish I was reading something else. No, 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 you're reading this for the month. But it's never pressure. But yeah, I have a lovely time with it. Would you ever move to reading on a Kindle? Probably not, but I can completely see the appeal. Probably not because I've got enough going on here, and also I get sent sort of proof books, and I love to use the library as well. Yeah, all of these books don't include, like, I probably get about 200 books out from the library a year, so, and I love to use the library, but probably not, but I can completely see the appeal. And sometimes, like, I think it would be nice just to sit and I read really fast. I have had a Kindle before, and I read really fast on the Kindle. So I guess it would be nice to read really fast and get more reading done, but yeah. And it's nice and lightweight to hold and sort of portable, isn't it? But yeah, probably not, but I can see the appeal. What makes you DNF a book? I've actually made a whole video about this, and I will link that down below. Main things: fat phobia, sort of unbelievable characters, too many coincidences, any sort of like derogatory views towards a minority that are sort of the views of the author, not the views of one of the characters who's gonna get their comeuppance. But yeah, there's all sorts of reasons, and like I said, I've made a video about it, and I was quite proud of that video, so I'll link that down below. A dream bookish event to attend. So actually, so the person who asked this question said, and gave an example, like a literary festival, but I've sort of like taken it upon myself to invent a dream bookish event. And I thought, because I was thinking about Anne of Green Gables, and I was thinking, I'd love to go to like an event on Prince Edward Island where everyone was sort of dressing of the time of Anne of Green Gables, and we were eating little lime sweets and all the sort of like lovely stuff that happens in Anne of Green Gables. So I've invented a Anne of Green Gables event that happens on Prince Edward Island, and yeah, I would love to go to something like that. My favourite season to read. My favourite season to read, and this is, when I was having to think about this, because this doesn't necessarily mean that I'm reading my best books this time, but it's just got to be Christmas, because this room transforms into the coziest little Christmas hole ever. And even like, because we didn't have the heating on last year, well, I doubt we'll have it on this year because cost of living crisis, guys, but under loads of blankets with my hot water bottle, with the lights of the Christmas tree and the lights that we have around, with a bit of twinkly music playing, because I've got a sort of twinkly Christmas playlist that I like to put on. I'm honestly, you probably won't find a happier moment for me. That is just peak me. Being cozy and comfy and Christmassy. And yeah, I still have yet to find another playlist which I can listen to at other times of the year that doesn't interfere with my reading. There's something about those sort of like plinky plonky little bit of Christmas hymns in the background, or a little bit of Christmas classical music, that I can completely get on board with. But other times of the year I find really hard to read when there's other stuff going on in the background. So yeah, my favourite season to read is Christmas, but the books that I'm reading aren't always my favourite, because often they're sort of like Christmassy books, and like they're not my favourite books, but I love reading them when I do and have a lovely time with it. So there we go. My favourite bookish podcast. My favourite bookish podcast is Quick Book Reviews, run by Philippa. It's an amazing podcast. I love listening to it. I get so many recommendations from it, and she's a wonderful host, and it's just so uplifting and joyful to listen to someone who is having such a lovely time listening, talking about books, and the listening experience of that is just a joy. So that one. But I also really love What Page You On, which is run by two authors, Alice Slater being one of those, who's written one of my favourite books of the year, and Bethany Rutter is the other, who wrote one of my favourite books of last year. And then Stacked is another one I really like, run by two girls, and they sort of talk about, one of my favourite episodes they did this year was like our problematic faves, and talking about like their favourite authors and books that the author has then gone on to maybe say some questionable stuff, or stuff that's happened in the book is quite questionable, but I quite enjoyed listening to that. But yeah, those three definitely. Do you ever order books from the US? No, I never do. And I know like a lot of the booktubers I watch, UK booktubers I watch, do, because they'll have a different cover, or maybe because the edition's coming out there and hasn't come out here. But yeah, that's just not something I do. It's also something, like, I think as a booktuber, something else I don't do, which is unusual I think, is sort of look forward of the books that are coming out next year and looking forward to that. I just sort of like go with the flow, and I think, yeah, I haven't done that because I sort of go with, I might see a book out in the shop and go for it, or unless a publisher emails me about it and says, oh, would you be interested in this book, I've not really got much sort of like idea of what's coming out. until I know that Sarah Waters is bringing a book out, and then I'll probably be more into it. 3 books that you would give a reluctant reader. So I picked Rebecca because, like I said, it's very atmospheric, very transporting. I remember Simon saying that he hadn't read for a really long time and he picked up Rebecca and it really got him back into the mood of it all. So yeah, I would pick Rebecca, and I think it's like, it's got a great plot that I did not see all of the things come in. Bridget Jones's Diary, because I think it's really fun and I love reading that book. I also think books that are written in sort of like diary form or letter form, epistolary, are really easy to read and quick to read. That's another reason I love the book Big Bones, because it's sort of written in like diary entry form. And I think that's why I used to love the Babysitters Club books as well, because they were written in diary entry form. So I picked Bridget Jones' Diary, and it's just a proper laugh. And then I think I picked Heartstopper, because I think a lot of people underestimate the power of a graphic novel and how immersive they can be, and how you can literally sit there and read it for an hour and then you've read a book and then you want to read the next one and stuff like that. And I think it'd be a really good, if you're a reluctant reader, then I think graphic novels are maybe a good place to go. And then the last question is, what book are you going to read next? And I'm literally, when I say next, I'm literally going to start it shortly, because I'm about to film my initial thoughts video on Crooked House by Agatha Christie. I said we're discussing this on Sunday. I haven't started reading it yet, but on my book club, I do a initial thoughts video, sort of normally just as I've started the book. So I'm starting it literally the weekend before, the week before this, we're due to discuss this. And I read the first chapter and then tell people my initial thoughts. So I'm going to go and do that right now. So thank you if you submitted a question. Lovely to hear from you. As I said, if I didn't answer your question and you'd like an answer from it, then do write down below, and would love to answer those for you. Or if you'd like to answer any of the questions I've answered today, please also write that down below. And finally, if you're still here and I've recommended a book for you and you've read it, let me know down below what that was, because I would love to hear, because I love that sort of thing. And I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!